The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences.
Coming to get you, Bobber.
Go right on in.
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
Welcome back, everyone. Yes, we are back. The Beer Brothers giving you another. This one's a little bit different of a movie. What's going on, Rick? How you doing, my brother?
What's up, my brother? Listen, brother, this is going to be a very interesting conversation because unlike other films where I go in, like, pretty much growing up with these films, this is a brand new one to me. This is one that I really want to talk to you about because I got some questions.
All right. In case this is your first time, welcome to Brews
and Brews.
Well, and tonight we're going to be discussing a movie called Pontypool. Now, it is currently available only right now to stream on AMC Plus. I did not check if you could rent it. But before we actually start diving into this one, because it was kind of, I introduced it to you. I think we discussed it when we were coming up with some Valentine movies. And then I said, hey, since we're doing the zombie show, we're just going to save it because this is going to be a little different. But before we actually start really getting deep diving into it, what do you have it?
All right, my brother, I'm going IPA this time. Last week I was a little bit of a softie, but this week I got me Lagunitas Pale Ale IPA 6.2 alcohol volume. I'll be honest with you, bro, I thought it was more, so I kind of fucked myself over, but it's still a very good beer. I love IPAs, as you can tell. When I go to restaurants, there's only a handful of IPAs I gravitate towards, and Lagunitas is one of them. It goes really good with food. It's not tough for an IPA because it could be kind of harsh, but I think this one here, it's a good medium. Gives you a good buzz, but it's not over the top. So if you don't want to get too fucked up, or if you don't like heavy drinking, I think the alcohol volume is perfect for that. If you want to get really fucked up, you want to go up a little bit more, or you want to drink like 5 of these. But I think it's a good drink. It's very refreshing. It's got a nice little doggy on the actual bottle, man. I love it. So yeah, Lagunitas, we all cheer for big bottles of beer. Salute, my brother.
Salute. Kona Big Wave Liquid Aloha. I'm training somebody this week, so I had to start my week right. This is a 4.4 alcohol. It's a little bit lower than, what I'm used to, but that's all right because, the whole goal is sometimes to introduce new beers.
Is that an IPA?
It's an IPA.
So that's what they would call an all-day IPA.
It's a good one, actually. I mean, because it's the other thing, it's not heavy on the citrus, which is what I like. So if I'm going to do it all day, this would be something all day. And it's great for the heat. I'm not going to lie, I've had a couple of them. It actually cooled me off, besides the fact a little bit of the rage on it. But, it's a good one. So yeah, Kona Big Wave, Liquid Aloha. Definitely recommend this one. Florida especially, it's hot. And, with some oysters and some crab legs. So, salute.
Salute. I noticed something, brother. I can tell you're in Florida because a lot of your brews are all tropical, Maui, and I'm expecting you to drink that with a big kahuna burger, son.
I forgot to give her a Valentine's Day card.
Grant, thanks for the Valentine card. I didn't say anything, I'm sorry. It's really nice.
We are going to be talking about one that it's a little bit, it's definitely not even on the radar, I would say, to be quite honest with you. It's from 2008. It's from where, Rick? Did you know at least where it's from?
Canada.
I love my Canadian horror. The movie is directed by Bruce McDonald, and it stars Stephen McHattie as the DJ, Grant Mazzy, and Lisa Howell as Sydney Breyer, and Georgina Riley as Laurel Ann.
Sydney Breyer is alive.
I like that. So Grant Mazzy is kind of a shock jock, you would say. I kind of have a feeling that he had different jobs and he'd been fired, and this is kind of like his last job that he had, to be quite honest with you.
He was just fired from his previous job too. That's
what I'm saying. So I'm pretty sure he's been fired before. And the radio company he's with is Radio 660 The Beacon in Pontypool. One of the other parts that I like about this whole radio part is the chopper reporter, Ken Loney.
Hello.
This movie, basically, when it starts out, it's all taking place in this radio station. They start getting phone calls of these weird things that are going on. Beforehand, Grant's trying to get this, it's like 7 o'clock in the morning. He's trying to get people riled up and angry. And they get this phone call at the clinic. The
John Mendes.
John Mendes.
Dr. John Mendes.
Dr. John Mendes. They were at this clinic. All this stuff was going on. A lot of this took place over the phone, listening to what's going on outside. As things start falling apart outside, poor Mazzy is stuck having to interview the Lawrence of Arabia singers because everything has been going on outside. So this is where the action that was taking place outside is now making its way inside. One of the things involving the virus, I think is what the doctor called it. You start showing these little weird things and you start repeating words. What we later on come to find out. We've all been watching our zombie movies where you're either bitten, scratched, a drop of blood touches you. There's a different form of transmission, but usually involving body fluids or some kind of contact with a dead. Not this one. The trigger for this one was the English vocabulary. And I'm wondering though, since it was Canadian, do they mean like the American English vocabulary? But the English vocabulary itself is what triggered the virus. For me, that was different. As I said, with everything else that we've seen, it's been done in different ways. When you mentioned Dr. Mendez, he's the one that says it's viral. However, it's done through specific words. If you think about it, you're now involved in a situation where you're being told that this thing's going to trigger you, but it's going to be a specific word, but you don't know what word it is. So I kind of felt that we're Puerto Rican. We talk a lot. We would be fucked. We would be triggered like this, to be honest with you. When the individual understands the word and then takes a hold of that word, they then start repeating it. What did you think about that, Rick?
Very unique take on the zombie virus because, like you said, it's not transmitted through the blood. It's not viral, so it's not in the air.
No, it is viral. The doctor said it's viral, except it's not something that you get through the air. It's through the sound, and it's a specific word and your brain understanding it.
I think the doctor labeled it as a monster hiding within the English language. And I found that so fascinating, and I like the fact that we did not get an explanation as to why this happened. But in a way, I like that. But in a sense, for my own curiosity, I kind of do want to talk to the writer and director. Come on, let me know. Come on, man. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Because they never explain it, which is good. You don't want that. You want it to be left open to your own imagination. Do they eat people or they just kill people?
No. So I guess what happens is, think of 28 Days Later, Virus 32. You get kind of a rage. You have to find a victim. They keep repeating the words over and over.
Yeah, the word copies the virus essentially.
Yes, and other people start repeating it, and now you've got this group of people. Knowing my luck, it would be like we would be running from some people, and one of you guys would go, "You stupid son of a bitch," and then the crowd would go, "You stupid son of a bitch, you stupid son of a bitch," and that's the last words I get to hear as I die, being torn apart by like this crowd that just got triggered by hearing "you stupid son of a bitch." But I mean, yeah, it was different because again, as the characters had to start speaking a different language, writing things down.
One thing I really loved about this is I connected to this film because when I was younger, if I would repeat certain words, they would stop making sense. So when Mazzy's telling Sydney, kill is love, try to forget what the meaning of the word is. Forget the understanding of it. It sounds stupid. It's true. If you take one word, any word, and keep repeating it, it's going to lose its meaning. It's just going to sound like a foreign vocabulary. And that is absolutely 1000% correct because I experienced that. Even right now, if I was to take a word and keep repeating it, it'll lose its meaning. If you never experienced this, try it. That's why the movie makes so much sense to me because this is something that connected with me because I personally experienced this before. Now, I didn't turn into no raging lunatic now. And what's pretty cool is like if you don't kill anyone, you just die.
We've talked about this when we watched movies, and actually even with The Walking Dead itself, is, you know, what happens if they don't have anything else to eat. This movie gave you a quick, very quick way of showing you what happens. So essentially, you need to hear sounds. So Laurel Ann being locked outside and they turned everything off, she couldn't hear anything.
Yeah.
So, and you were talking about what was going on. So tell us what happens when, first of all, you're the silence, and what actually happens to the infected person.
Yeah, from my understanding, from what I saw, so the infected person is drawn by sound. If somebody is having a conversation and you listen to that, it draws you to them. It's like normally like an animal smelling, like a shark smelling blood in the water. They go in for the kill. They don't have anything to go after. They can't hear anything. They can't let out that rage. They can't let it out, and it just.
Yep.
Poor girl, man. She just like projectile vomited all over that fucking glass. And I love it because I got the subtitles on. Then it says body slowly thuds.
Yeah. I had the subtitles on too.
I laughed at that. But I thought that was pretty fucking cool.
One of the interesting aspects of the movie itself is, as I said, that is pretty much, there's another scene with them trying to run away, but gore-wise, it's not a whole lot. The movie capitalizes on your imagination.
Yeah.
So if you have a good horror imagination, if you're a sick fucker, you know, you'll even make it better. Everything is done through the phone calls coming in, and they're coming in from people, and a good majority of them are from Ken. Because you didn't get to see what's going on, you're given a description. Just as Grant is visualizing what's going on, so are you. So Ken Loney was their chopper that gave traffic and everything. So they didn't have a fucking chopper. The guy's an alcoholic. He takes his car and drives it to the highest point in the town. He drives it to the highest point in the town where he gives his traffic reports.
And he uses sound effects.
And he uses sound effects. I thought that was, and when Grant's told this, and just the look on his face, he's like, "Are you fucking kidding me with this shit?" I would go with Train to Busan is probably one of the perfect ones. If I don't know what your imagination used, but he described how people are just falling out of the building, like they're pouring out. I thought of Train to Busan and the way that like it all came out. So having watched other movies elevated that it was my own imagination that let me see what's been basically taking the town apart. The other interesting part that I found in the movie was how quickly they got the information on who's died so far. And I thought the use of our hearing being the conduit to see what the horror is was what made this movie stand out. I mean, like, what are your thoughts on the fact that they use our ears basically to show us everything?
One thing I love about this film is the first half, when you don't really see any of the infected people, everything is told through the perspective of an outside party calling in. We're Grant and Sydney. You know, Grant doesn't believe in UFOs. You know, so he's a skeptic, obviously. So imagine someone like him getting this information live as it occurs. You got the guy from BBC.
That's when they realized it was serious.
yeah. So the guy
Shit
called.
serious when BBC called.
Absolutely, man. So and the fact that all that chaos, you know, when Ken Loney, the sea of people just erupting from that facility. And I found it hilarious how like fucking John Mendes just, I don't know, he found the fucking radio station, climbed in through the window. Hey, look, John Mendes is here. Doctor, shut up. He just shows up, but I'm digressing. But we never saw like a zombie apocalypse. We never saw it from the outside, right? And Dawn of the Dead, the Romero version, when they're in the newsroom early on and all that chaos and panic, I love that because everyone's scared. They're getting information. Some believes it, some don't. Some take it serious, some don't at all. Here, it's only a small group of people, and they're like wondering, well, what the hell is going on? And they're trying to get the word out. They don't know they're making things worse, like you mentioned before, with playing the fucking the obituaries and he called it the elevator music or whatever they call that shit. I forget.
Elevator music. Yeah, no, music.
Music. Yeah. So it's good stuff, and the fact that it builds, it escalates with each call, and then in between that, you mentioned you got like the Lawrence of Arabia the performance, and Grant's like, are you fucking kidding me? I appreciate that so much. I'm a gore fiend, bro. I love gore, blood, violence. I love gratuitous everything. I love pervasive everything. I didn't need it. I think there was only maybe 1-2 F-bombs in this movie. But the panic and the sheer chaos, but we don't see it. We hear it. We hear the story. It's like reading a book. You don't get that a lot in films like this. So I highly appreciate that about this film.
It's a movie totally different than, you know, us. If you guys are watching this, obviously you watch zombie movies.
You know why else is different? It's a Valentine's Day.
It's a Valentine's Day.
It's a
And right at the
Valentine's
end,
Day
it was
flick.
they labeled it the Valentine's Day Massacre, and I'm like, fuck, we should have done it for Valentine's Day. The slow burn here is only what you're visually seeing. What they effectively did was your audio was kept busy the entire time, which is where this movie just stands out from everything else that we've seen. And the fact finding out that it's the English language.
And I like how it flipped it towards the middle of the film, going towards the climax where it is the English language and you can't really speak. So they took all that chaos, and all of a sudden now the last half, you like they're writing on like, you know, with marker and fucking easel boards and
Speaking Francais.
yes, they
Speaking
started speaking
Francais.
French. I found it funny how John Mendes, the Spanish, is speaking French, but then I forgot, oh, they're French Canadians.
Yeah, the French Canadian. The one little fun fact I do want to bring up, that when they had done this was influenced by Orson Welles' radio production of War of the Worlds.
So good.
And
I didn't know that.
I actually want to now find this out because it's not just a movie. This is a radio play, so it's available fully on audio, and I'm kind of curious to see if I can find the radio play and just listen to this without having to watch anything. Well, with that, guys, check it out. Again, it is only available to stream on AMC Plus. Rick, you have been the one that has been introducing me to most of the movies in the series so far. So it was kind of finally my turn to be the one to introduce you to something.
Well, you got me before. 28 days later, you made me rewatch it and
I
appreciate
did.
it.
Okay.
And Juan of the Dead, you got me to watch that as well.
All
So
right,
this
you're
is
right.
number
Three.
tres. So
And I'm
good.
still, I'm
Thank you,
still,
bro.
I'm 3 for 3 then, right?
Yeah, you are.
Three for
I
three,
got
bro.
you with zombies.
Salud.
Right.
You can get me with zombies. Zombies
Salud,
still
bro.
okay, salud, bro. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us again for another episode of Brains and Brews. See you guys next time. And Rick, what do we cheer for?
Motherfuckers, we all cheer for big bottles of beer. I'm Ricky Grimes.
And I am Joe the Psychologist. Until next time, don't get bit.
Destiny's devils be savages. Slim to none chance with the averages. Sitting on the low like you added slick. Darkness make you disappear like a magic trick. Put up to the table, come down and sit. These devils try to tie you the crown with it. Now you surrounded by counterfeits, trying to chop you up into 1,000 bits.